There's not to be rotations.
That way you rotate, then everybody eventually has to set out on the
Call the meeting to order now. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for Jeremy Groggins, Youth Minister of the First Baptist Church in Lowell, to give the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Father, we just thank you so much for the many blessings that you've given us, God. God, I just ask for guidance and wisdom for the leadership of this community, Father. Father, I also pray for protection for this community. God, we also just want to take this time to lift up Elsie and Doris Tucker, Father, to you. God, just move in their lives and protect them as well. Father, we just want to tell you that we love you, and we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Kamala Lamons.
Here.
Ted Morale.
Here.
Eric Shine.
Here.
Darren Brock.
Here.
Keith Williams.
Here.
Carol Harmon.
Here.
Marty Latham.
here.
Sean Ingram.
Here.
Next item on the agenda is a consent agenda, which contains the Lowell City Council minutes of the regular meeting, February 20th, 2007. All in agreement?
Aye.
At this time, I'd like to amend the agenda. Would like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda to include the following. Resolution allowing surplus property to be sold by bid and certification by mayor that total value of surplus equipment is less than $20,000. Item number 2, nominate Linda Simcoe to Planning Commission, replacing Chris Sparks for the term ending 5/1/07. Any comments? Do I hear a motion?
Move to amend the agenda to include those.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
I've got a question.
Oh, yes. Excuse me, Keith.
I have no problem with the planning commission. Are we just going to discuss the resolution to sell the items? Because this is the first time I've looked at it, and I don't know if I can. I don't really think I can vote on that tonight. So
It's item number E. We're going to discuss it later in the meeting.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ted Morale.
Yes.
Darren Brock.
Yes.
Marty Latham.
Yes.
Kamala Lamons.
Yes.
Sean Ingram.
Yes.
Carol Harmon.
Yes.
Eric Shine.
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Public forum, please. Curtis Wagner.
My name is Curtis Wagner, 208 Fox Run Place. I'd like to speak a couple of minutes on the weather alert system. We have none. I worked on the day of the 24th of last month, and when I got home, my wife said, "Did you hear about the weather?" I said, "No." She says, "Is there a tornado coming?" I said, "Well, I can't help it. We had no warning." Lowell really needs the sirens. Instead of boring holes under the highway and going to no place, buying big buildings to be tore down and pay somebody to haul it away, we need sirens. Lowell has about 6,000 people, and out of that 6,000 people, only about a dozen radios were sold. That leaves over 5,000 people out there wondering what the weather's going to do. I think that if we can save one life, it'd be worth many dollars to put them sirens in. And I hope the council will reopen it. I spoke on it last year, but they wanted to buy radios. Didn't work. It won't work. We need an alert system because people is out going shopping, they're visiting, they're out in the yard doing yard work. They don't have radios out there. So I think we should have some sirens, and the council will look into it and study it a little bit. That's all. Thank you.
Curtis,
Yes.
if you'll fill out the top part of that, we'll make sure you get a response. Thank you. Next item up is Guy Shoemaker.
Thank you, Guy Shoemaker, 315 Center Drive. Number one thing, Mayor, I want to congratulate you. I think you're doing one hell of a fine job filling these various positions and these vacancies. I took a peekaboo at it. And like I promised you, I'll compliment you when I think you're right, and I'll raise hell with you when I think you're wrong. No ifs and ways about it. Number two, there's a lot of things going on in this town. It really kind of shocked me. I got a hold of Ruby's Tuesday, and there was a council member here that was here, voted out of office, was one of the reasons why we don't have Ruby Tuesdays in Lowell. He told me he is a sardonic kind of an individual. Now, I don't know what a sardonic is. I haven't looked it up, but I think it's similar to sarcastic. Number three, I'd like for you to come down here, please. Vincent, Max? I kind of embarrassed. My daughter says, Dad, you put me in a very embarrassing spot. She says, I'm a citizen, Lowell, and do I have to give the $100 for the city hall? And I told her, well, if you want to see the city of Lowell get a city hall, I highly recommend you do it. So, Vince, Max, would you please come up here? No, I'm out of it. I'm out of it. I'm out of it. Show the check, Vincent, Max. Now, Mr. Mayor, I've got one other thing. You know, when I gave you that $1,000, I said that this is for the city hall, and I challenged all the businesses in the city of Lowell. Now, I'm going to go one notch further. I'll match every $100 that this city council, these city council members contribute to the city hall. I give, including you, Tom, including you, for this reason. They're all getting paid, and these are a third job. It's the best paying job these gentlemen have probably ever earned. So the challenge is I will match $100 for each one of you guys to give the city hall for building. And Marty, I talked to your husband. I told him he's obligated for $1,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy.
depends.
I appreciate you doing that for me.
Let's give Guy a hand, folks. Ronnie Breeling. Thank you, guys.
For one thing, the mayor can start getting the last name right.
Sorry, Ronnie.
Known each other for quite a while. Ronnie Breland, 119 South Brandon. The mayor's already filled one spot, but I've sent out emails today concerning my interest in the Planning Commission. I hate to see Mike Hook go, and I hate to see Chris Sparks go. I mean, he's a great asset to the Planning Commission, as we all know that. But I stand before you tonight, Mayor and City Council members, to let you know that I am interested in the Planning Commission, and I would like to be considered for that spot. I mean, if the mayor decides to move one of the others up into the head seat, then I'd like to be considered for that seat. Secondly, 4 years ago, when Mayor Biggers ran for office, Eric Hauserman got him to run for office. And then, of course, where he lives, he didn't have a certificate of occupancy in his house. And he didn't all through while he was in office. So I have a very valid question. If he didn't have a certificate of occupancy, why he was mayor? Was he a resident of Lowell? Could he actually hold this office? And if not, should that money be repaid to the city? I mean, that is a lot of money that the city could use. And number two, to make a point, the person that should have inspected that house was Leroy Barker at the time. Now, there's a big injustification there. So, city council members and mayor, what kind of how are you going to right that wrong? I ask you tonight. How are you going to right that wrong? I mean, he lived in that house for 4 years, 5 years, with no certificate of occupancy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Ronnie, you want to fill this out? We have your email on commission, so write your other part on there if you would, please. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak during the public forum? If not, we'll close the public forum. Next item on the agenda is committee reports. I think Sean Ingram wants to talk to everyone about the parks design that they made. Sean?
I've shamed Cindy into it.
I'm sorry, that's not Sean, that's Cindy.
Sean's passing the buck.
Cindy, do you want the poster?
Do you want to show the poster? You want to wait till we get the new one? We're going to wait till we get the new drawing. Okay. The Park Recreation and Special Events Committee met last night. We've got the footprints for the park. Hopefully next council meeting we'll have a poster that we can show everyone. We're waiting for the new. There was a couple things that weren't drawn in that we hand drawed in, and so we're gonna wait till those are professionally done. We've got the walking trails in, the the soccer fields, the parking, kind of know where the bathrooms are going to be, that kind of thing. So that's where we're at right now. We're waiting to get some, what'd you tell me a while ago? I'm sorry. Right, the equipment. And exactly where we're going to put it at. That was one of the things that was missing. We only had one of the playgrounds drawn on there. There's one that's missing. So. Any questions?
When did we set that meeting? I don't remember. I didn't think we were supposed to meet. I thought we canceled it from a week ago.
And then it was rescheduled for last night. But to bring you up to speed, the next one is Monday night at 6 o'clock.
I wondered where you were last night.
Yeah, this is kind of a shock to me because I was unaware of a meeting. So it's next Monday night at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Okay.
City Hall.
Thank you, Cindy. I talked to Gary this afternoon to see about when we could start construction on the new park. He said probably 3 to 4 weeks we ought to be able to get started. Anybody have any questions of the park committee?
Are we going to have public input on this, I guess? Or are we going to have some public hearings?
I would like to see the public input. I don't know if next Monday's meeting would be appropriate. I think Gary wants to get some things tied up and get a final drawing, but I would like to have their input on some of the equipment that we'd be purchasing and placing in the park.
Is it pretty much what we were looking at 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? Okay.
We could have the public hearing on the 20th, the next council meeting, if we're ready.
I guess we would rely on Mr. Carnahan to. We don't have a lot. There's. Revisions that need to be.
I think so. Okay, we'll have a public hearing on the new park plan, 6 o'clock on the 20th. That is the night of the next council meeting. Thank you, Ronnie. Any other questions? Any old business to discuss? New business. Appointment of Street and Sidewalks Committee. Recommended members are council members Ted Morale and Darren Brock, city employee Gary Carnahan, and one of our longtime city residents, Carrie Roller. Carrie and her husband Glenn have been residents for Lowell for 25 years. She is a billing manager for Creekside Center for Women. Carrie, you want to stand up so everybody know who you are? Any comments from the public? Any comments from the council? Yes, Keith.
Are these mayoral committees? I guess they're not really committees that are a function of the council, correct?
The function of the council when they have council members on them.
Okay. Did you? I don't know. Maybe I missed this one too. Did we discuss this at any time? I mean, the committee members at any time, because this is kind of like the first time we've kind of been presented with this.
These are the recommended members I would like to see on it, Keith, and the reason each are put on there, the committees for a reason.
Okay. Well, and that's fine, and I'm glad to see that Ted's on there and Darren. I think they were on the street committee from the last council. I'm just kind of curious because there's no council members on the personnel committee, which is the next one. So I didn't know if these were just your personal committees or.
Yes, I just put it on there, Keith, for informational purposes to the council. Any other questions or comments about the Street and Sidewalk Committee? Do I hear a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to accept these.
Second. Roll call.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Sean Ingram,
Yes.
Kamala Lamons,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
No.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Ted Morale.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is the appointment of Personnel Committee. This is a mayor's committee to review and rewrite the personnel manual. Members are Tom Kicklack, Mary Mason, myself, and Kim Richer. Kim has a master's degree in human resources, holds a national certification in human resources, works for Tyson Food, and is on their Fast Track Management Development Program. Once we get the new manual revised, we will present it to the council for their comments before it's ever adopted. Any questions? Okay, move on to Utilities Committee, which is a water, sewer, and solid waste. Council members Carol Harmon, Kamala Lamons, Gary Carnahan, John Ratsky. He's a retired civil engineer and also is Lowell's representative on the regional sewer. Bill Payne, Vice President and Director of Engineering, Consolidated Utilities Incorporated. Jim Williams, Registered Civil Engineer, Consulting and Design Experience with cities regarding utilities. Currently is Western Region Business Manager for Conair Corporation. Jim couldn't be here. He's leaving town in the morning at 5 o'clock. John Radsky's out of town, but we do have Bill Payne here. Bill, you want to stand up, please, sir, so everybody can meet you? Anybody have any questions of Bill?
I've got a question concerning, will they be able to attend the meetings if we have to, I know we've got the trash contract that's coming up. So I just want to make sure that everyone's going to be able to attend those meetings because sometimes, you have to meet pretty quickly on that. So if Jim's busy, because I know as an engineer you kind of get tied down with things. I just want to make sure that they're comfortable with having a flexible schedule where they can show up and meet pretty much at any time.
Jim does some traveling, yes. Bill travels some. Of course, John Radsky doesn't, and Carol and Kamala don't. So I think, we've got a possibility that one of those guys may be absent, Keith, but that's why there's an extra one or two on there to make sure that we do have good coverage with qualified people. Any other comments? Yes.
I'm all for being on a committee. I'm just not for sure if I'm right for this committee. This is the first of my knowledge. I mean, it was in the packet. Am I the most qualified person to be on this?
I'll tell you the reason I put you on there. We have some real problems in your ward up north. Dell Circle, or Daisy Circle, and Sabre Heights. And it was my feeling that you might help us do more to help us with solving those problems and communicating with those people since you're in their ward. The same way with Carol out west. Somebody's indicated we had some water problems out there, I think. So we'll let Carol help us with that problem. That's why, Cameron. I tried to select people from the wards where we have problems to help us with that, because if you're involved in it, I think you'll be in a better situation to discuss it with them and get feedback to them. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your confidence in me. And I know Kamala can do it.
I know she can too. Yes, Ted.
I move to accept this committee as appointed. I'll second that.
Roll call.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Ted Morale,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Kamala Lamons,
Yes.
Sean Ingram,
Yes.
Marty Latham.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is an ordinance authorizing borrowing funds for the acquisition of one excavator by issuing of a promissory note, providing for the payment of the principal and interest of the note, declaring an emergency and prescribing other matters relating thereto. Do we have it? Yes, Ronnie? Pardon me? Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Do you want to talk on this one? Okay. Come right on up.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mayor.
It's all right. That's all right. I'm sorry.
If you'll look back, there's already an ordinance in place that gives the city and the council members the right to borrow money at any time that they need to do whatever. So you need to take and have a look at that to where you can borrow. I mean, you won't need to do that D. I mean, you're trying to do a promissory note and everything that you won't even need to do, and making an emergency clause out of it. If you can go borrow the money, because it's already an ordinance, it's already on the books as an ordinance.
What value?
There's no value. It's an ordinance at undisclosed amount.
I'll comment to that. No way am I going to borrow money for this city without the council approving it.
No, but what I'm saying is, right, but what I'm saying is you can bring it to them for whatever you need to. The ordinance number's there, is what I'm saying. There's an ordinance number already in place.
Recall what that number is.
Yes, Tom.
State law on this, Mr. Breland, requires that each time the city enters into a transaction, utilize this particular constitutional provision in state law. They have
Yes, sir.
a separate ordinance describing the equipment, the amount, the interest rate, and the item. In addition, the bank loaning us the money would really like to have a promissory note. And I'm not sure they'll give us any money without a note. Now, maybe they will. But that's up, the mayor will be able to negotiate that. But the city can't buy this item and borrow this particular package of money without this ordinance.
Well, the way,
Trust me on this.
all right, the way I was reading this was an ordinance authorizing borrowing funds. Well, if that's what it's saying, there's already an ordinance in place to borrow funds for whatever at any time.
These funds require this ordinance.
Okay.
Trust me on this.
So, I mean, that's all I'm saying, and it goes back way back to like the beginning of like Mayor Kirby, and then coming forward, and then they've updated it so along the way to where you can just keep coming on and coming on and coming on with it.
Point of order. I think Mr. Breland's question has been answered appropriately.
So, I mean, that's all I'm saying is there's one already in place. So, if you got to put a name with it, that's all I was saying.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
I hear excuse me, Ted.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules, place on third and final reading, and read by title only, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Pamela Lamons,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Ted Morale,
Yes.
Sean Ingram.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll read the ordinance by title only. An ordinance authorizing borrowing funds for the acquisition of one excavator by issuance of a promissory note, providing for the payment of the principal and of the interest on the note, declaring an emergency and prescribing other matters relating thereto. Any questions? Comments from the audience?
Motion to pass.
Second.
Sean and Keith seconded. Any comments from the council members? Roll call, please.
Shine,
Yes.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Sean Ingram,
Yes.
Pamela Lamons,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Ted Morale.
Yes. I move
I
to
hear
accept
a
the
second.
emergency clause.
Pardon me?
Move to accept the emergency clause.
Thank you.
Second.
Sean. Roll call, please.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Ted Morale,
Yes.
Pamela Lamons,
Yes.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Sean Ingram.
Yes.
That will be ordinance number 779.
Next item on the agenda is a resolution allowing surplus property to be sold by bid and certification by mayor. The total value of the equipment property is less than $20,000. Any comments from the audience? Council, Keith, did you have some comments that we might help you with here?
Actually, I did, because there's a lot of this equipment. I'm really uncertain what we're using it for, what it's doing. Actually, if we had a breakdown of where this came from, I know we have 1998 red Jeep. What was that used for?
Street department had it.
Okay, that's just, is it just worn out, or is it?
Warren, yes. Yes. None of these items on this list are being used at this time.
Okay.
Not a one.
Two 1997 Ford Crown Victorias.
They came from the police department and they've gone through code enforcement. So, and we're replacing them with a police department vehicle. One of the 1997 Fords has been sitting in the grass over here off of Lincoln Street.
Right, the 1994 bus from ORT. Now that one, I don't know if we can sell that. That was a gift. I don't know if there's any
Stipulations?
if there's some stipulations that if we sell that, if we have to give them money back. I'd much rather, if we're gonna get rid of that, I'd much rather give it back to them instead of sell that and make profit off of it.
They didn't want it. That's why they gave it to us.
I don't.
He said that when he was here before.
I've had a church request that bus, Keith, but I don't think the city can give anything away like that.
Can you check?
Is that right, Tom?
That's correct. We can't donate it.
But is there any way you can check to see if there's some stipulations on that gift? Because it was a gift to the city. It was donated. I didn't know if there was something.
I think one thing we might do is have the church send one of their members over with $100, then he can contribute it to the church.
Is your question, did ORT put stipulations on this?
I don't know if you
I
can.
don't know. I don't know.
And then the 1990 red Caprice, what's that vehicle?
That's sitting over there by the city hall. It's a former police car.
1985 Suburban.
It was used by the street department.
Okay. Are we replacing these vehicles, or are we just?
No.
We're not.
No, we are not.
Okay. 1981 one-ton Chevrolet.
That's a truck that's been sitting over there off of Lincoln Street in the weeds for I don't know how long.
Okay. Was that also part of the street department?
Yes.
Okay. Paver Neal 6000. I guess that's a
pull type paver, and we can't use it. It's wore out.
Okay. All right. 53-foot Tirade tanker. What's that?
That's a tanker that you heat asphalt in.
Okay. Is there ever a chance? Is that a good one? Is that still in pretty good shape, or is that?
To my knowledge, I think they said it was usable, but they don't foresee any use for it. Is that right, Gary? He might be. Can you add anything to that?
Yellow finish mower. What's that? Is that?
It's wore out.
Is it? Okay. Pull behind spreader.
Same thing. Wore out.
Okay. And we're not replacing any of this stuff.
Not a one. No.
We don't need another finish mower.
No. We have one already.
Okay. I know that it was discussed in the past that this one, I think it was this one that was wearing out, and that they would need another one to replace that. So that's why I'm asking. I don't know. I would like to actually sit down and go through this and just to make sure that especially the ORT. I don't know if I'm ready to make a decision on this whole list.
We'll check that, Keith. I'll take it off of the list for the time being. And
what about the brush hog? Do we have one to replace the brush hog?
It's wore out. We have one.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're still going to have enough equipment to mow the interchange at I-540. I know that our interchange is one of the nicest looking ones.
That's right.
And we take pride in taking care of our city property here, and so I just want to make sure that we're not kind of getting rid of too much here.
I can assure you we're not. None of this stuff is we need. Most of it's wore out. That equipment, we'll probably have to haul it off and sell it for junk. They did take an old roller and make them I think it's a 3-foot roller out of it to pull behind their little tractor. They've salvaged everything they can out of it, Keith, and it's just the vehicles. They're not going to bring much. They've all got over 100,000 miles on it. Now, I will take that 94 bus ORT off to make sure that there was no stipulations by Regional Transit on it.
Yeah, we need to know that.
And I'm kind of wondering if I know it was a used bus, but there's got to be some use that we can do with that. Maybe if we just hang on to it for a little longer to see. If not, then we could get rid of it. But I'd hate to see us get rid of that and then come back 6 months or a year and say, hey, you know what? We need a bus for this or we need a bus for that, and not have one. So
I checked with all of the departments, and none of them could foresee any use for it. But if you want to hang on to it, we can hang on to it.
Well, and that's just my opinion. I mean, I don't know. I would.
I don't know. I mean, the police department was taking prisoners to
to court at some point, I mean, where they took all of them in one trip instead of taking 4 cars before. So I don't know if that's still going on or.
No, they're hauling them in cars. The problem is we only have one licensed driver for that bus, and he's in the street department. So, you know, the use that you have for it, you've got to pull a guy off and to drive it, because not anyone can drive it because of the size of it. That's another problem we have with it. But you know, if the council wants to hold on to it a while, well, that's fine. Right now, nobody in the city has any use for it.
Okay. Well, I know it was a gift, and because we don't know any stipulations, or you know, I'd like to at least hang on to that one. And if you want to come back in a few months, if there's still not use for it, then I would have no problem with getting rid of that. But sounds like the rest of it's the street department's fine with getting rid of it. Sounds like it's just taking up space. So just looking at some of the dates on some of these vehicles, I can kind of imagine the type of shape they're in. So
they're pretty rough.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution with the exclusion of the 1994 bus.
Second.
Any other comments, please?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to assure Mr. Williams that the city does have a replacement for this 5-foot brush hog. They have a batwing brush hog.
Just want to make sure that
We're not, Keith. Trust me. They're not replacing the thing. Any other comments? We're voting on the list except the 1994 bus from ORT. Roll call, please.
Pamela Lamons,
Yes.
Ted Morale,
yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Sean Ingram.
Yes.
That is Resolution 07-07.
Mr. Mayor, how will these be sold off? In the auction or?
We'll advertise them in the paper and set them all out on the road there across from the police department. And they can come and bid on them. We'll have a 3-4 hour window. Come and place your bids at that time. That was a suggestion made by one of the used car dealers here in town, because I asked them how the best way to get rid of them. They said advertise them, but have a special time that they can come and make their bids, and that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Any other comments? The next item on the agenda, right now at this time, to nominate Linda Shimko to the Planning Commission, replacing Chris Sparks for the term ending 5/1/07. We're kind of falling victim to the state of Florida tonight. Kim Richter just got back from Florida, and Linda Shimko is on her way back from Florida. I interviewed Linda and had Michael interview Linda because Mike Hook was out of town. We waited on him to come back. He had since resigned, so Mike will be filling in and giving his comments on Linda to you.
I can just say, I'll just briefly say, Linda and her husband have lived in Lowell about 5 years. They came from Florida, South Florida again. Please don't hold that against them. She served on some POA board of directors down there. Evidently, the way it was described to me, I think it's similar to like a Bella Vista situation, where the POA has a little more pull and kind of runs the community. I can't think of anything worse than having to serve on the POA board of directors, having had some involvement with it. It's rough. But she has a real vision on her main drive is going to be property values. She talked a lot about how they in the POA that she was in, they had a lot of protective covenants. She really, wants to make sure that if we're tearing down trees, that they absolutely need to be torn down. She lives up in Sabre Heights, and they had some problems up there with the development that's behind them, and that's how I first met her. But she and her husband have one daughter, and I really think she would do a good job, and has. She's very analytical in her thinking and the way she looks at the problems that they have had up there. So, if I can answer any other questions. And she was sorry she couldn't be here today. She wanted to be, but like I say, she had to go to Florida for a family matter. So,
Mike, one of the things that I definitely see in Lowell's future is we definitely desire to bring more businesses to our community. That way we can expand and grow from there. Does she have any experience with working with businesses or anything that can help her in that way?
She and her dad own a small business in Garfield, actually. So she does bring some business skills to the table. They've had the business for many years, and I'm sure she could get you a pretty good used car. Maybe they could take the surplus cars. Anyway, yes, that's her main experience. I believe she also had some experience in Florida. I'm not sure exactly what she was doing down there. Her husband was an arborist down there, so she also has an understanding of landscaping that I think would be useful on the planning committee.
Do you know what business they own in Garfield?
I know
Jeanette knows.
Yeah.
It's a used car business right on the Highway 62. And I might also add her husband is employee of the State Highway Department, and he does do arbor work for them.
Any other questions? Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the council?
I think this is great that someone with some landscaping experience is coming in. I think that's something the planning commission will need. I have no problem with it. I know Mike resigned last night, and I would strongly encourage us to seek out someone with maybe some planning commission experience. I think that we're going to need that guidance. I would suggest we maybe advertise and publicize this and try to get someone that has some experience in there. Maybe to fill that position, because his position is very important as chairman, and so I would strongly suggest that his position have someone with some experience on the planning commission. But to fill Chris's spot, I think she sounds like a great candidate. So,
Yes, go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and just kind of fill you in on kind of what I spent a lot of my day doing today, which was I was going to different builders. I was contacting real estate companies in town, finding out if they had any employees with backgrounds, that would be part of that might be a part of the planning process, be it a realtor, be it a contractor, experience on planning commissions. And I was trying to think of any business I could that someone might have a background in that. And we've talked to a few guys. And we have a lot of feelers out there, and I talked to people at the bank, anybody that had anything to do with the planning process that I knew of or could think of that might have somebody in Lowell. We were contacting them today just for that exact thing, and I think I know that everybody in the planning department was upset that Mike was gone, and we definitely are trying to do our best to find somebody with some experience. So, I don't know if that helps at all.
well, it makes me feel better. I'm just concerned, I guess, because the planning commission, there's a lot of new members, and we just need someone to kind of go in and kind of be a leader, someone with some planning commission experience. I know Selena's still in there,
right?
And Jean, but
we also, and I will say, we also have somebody coming up from the municipal league. We're allowed one free trip a year. And I was in contact with him today. The municipal league's planner is going to come up and do a training class for us. So I think that's going to be real beneficial and definitely going to be something we're looking at. So.
That's great.
Keith, we also thought we'd get maybe Rogers, chief planner, to come down and talk to us. So VAC's been putting in a lot of effort to try to get training sessions set up for everybody as we go forward here.
And I know Mike's been involved with, he's been to a lot of planning commissions over the last few years, and I know Mike's very familiar with, with our overlay district and the difference between variances and waivers, and so.
And I'll definitely let the council know when those training sessions are. If that's something you all might want to attend, because I know that you get some of that language too sometimes.
Any other
Before
comments?
I say too much, I'll go ahead and say that.
Thank you, Michael. Any other comments? Do I hear a motion, please?
Motion to adjourn. It's a little early, huh? I'd like to move that we
Are you withdrawing your first motion?
yeah, I'll withdraw that first one.
Okay, come on.
All right.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't
with
have her
you.
name written down, so.
Linda Shimko.
Shimko? Okay. I'd like to move that we appoint confirm Linda Shimko to the Planning Commission to fill Chris Sparks' remaining term.
That's right.
Second.
Sorry about the confusion.
It's all right. I'm with you, Keith. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I know everyone else was thinking that.
Now you can.
Now we can adjourn.
Do we have any committee meetings except the Parks Committee, which is the 12th, next Monday night? Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Uh-oh, excuse me, Ted.
I have a question that I'd like to address before we adjourn, and that would be on the Dixieland project. Where do we stand on that, and when might we be putting that up for bids and so forth? Have you had a chance for discussion on that at the administrative level?
Gary, you want to come up and address that?
We are having a pre-construction conference next week, I believe it is, we had awarded a bid for water line relocations and gas line relocations. You remember a while back. So we're having a pre-construction conference next week to kick that off. That'll take a month or so to get those out of the way, or probably a couple months. In the meantime, we're picking up the additional rights of way that we need to go ahead and go all the way through with the project. And quite frankly, need to get back with you later with a report about when we could put it out for bid. It has to do with the completion of those utilities. It also has to do with cash flow and monies available. When we put that out for bid, it's probably about $1 million contract. So we have to be careful that we don't that we have the money to back that up. When we pull the trigger on that, we have to have money in the bank to make sure that we can meet the obligations of the contractor. Because if they bring in a bunch of equipment and attack that job, they'll be sending us some big monthly pay requests. So that also has to weigh into it. And we're getting ready to do a little cash flow projection for the street department. We haven't done that yet, but we need to do that and probably have that ready in 2 or 3 weeks to kind of project forward when we can do certain things. So.
Any other comments?
I'd like the people to know that those fellows were out there working on the Liddell Water Project today.
Very good. Any other comments? Now, Keith.
Go ahead and move that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.